What is up, guys? Got a couple things I'm going to be installing for this video while I'm waiting for my Megasquirt stuff to come in for the truck. I'm going to go ahead and knock a couple of things out that I can while I have time, but just make it easier when I'm installing Megasquirt stuff later on, just not having these things done. Before I show you guys what I'm installing, you'll notice I have a grill on here again. The old one I broke doing exhaust stuff, I think, so it's been broken for quite some time. Went to the junkyard. You guys saw this grill. Went to the junkyard, picked this thing up. It kind of blends in with everything else, and it looks a lot better than having nothing on the front of the truck, and it'll actually protect my radiator. I am using the GoPro still. The phone takes better video and it's a lot more stable, and audio is a lot better. The capture angle is way too narrow on the phone. If I'm standing here, you guys can see probably the wall like in my hand and everything. On the cell phone, you'd only be able to see what's directly in front. I'm gonna go on eBay and buy like one of those clip-on wide-angle lenses that you can get for your cell phones. I'm also gonna buy a handle or something for it and use that. But until then, I'm just gonna go ahead and use this still. Audio is kind of junk on it, but I've gotten by for this long with it. It'll be fine for the next couple of videos until I can get stuff to make the cell phone work, and then after that hopefully video quality will be a little bit better. Audio should be way better, which is going to be a lot nicer, because on a lot of videos I have to adjust the sound levels so that when I do stuff like this and then turn the GoPro back around, there's not a big difference in audio. I'll leave it the same this time so you guys can notice the difference, because the microphone is only on the back of the GoPro, not on the front. For this video, we're going to be installing the vacuum port that I got. I showed this to you guys in the last video. This is one of the items that I have that's for the Megasquirt basically, but it's mainly just to clean up all of my vacuum lines, because I've added a handful. I've added the line for the boost gauge. I'm going to be reinstalling the line for the FMU, and then the map sensor and the Megasquirt's also going to be running off of this, so I need one of these otherwise, because right now I've just got one giant continuous line that runs all over the place. It starts down underneath my air hat, and then there's a T down there which runs to the interior like fan controls, because those use vacuum, and then comes up here to this other T which runs to the fuel pressure regulator, and then this one runs in to my boost gauge. And then there was for a while another T that went from over here over to the FMU. I ended up moving the FMU to the turbo pressure just because I thought it might help it work better, and it didn't, so I'm just gonna run the FMU off of just intake manifold vacuum. And I also have a silicone hose, which you've already seen if you watched my last video. This is a 1/4 inch barb fitting for the turbo to replace the one I have that has 2 barbs on it. This just has 1. So this will clean things up a little bit as well. I won't have to have a vacuum plug or anything. And I got a bunch of these little, you guys really can't see them very well, but there's a bunch of tiny hose clamps in here as well to clamp onto this and any other vacuum hoses that I mess with, as well as the vacuum plugs that are already on it, because I've had a couple of them blow off on me while I'm in boost, and that's obviously not good. So I'm going to clamp them on, and hopefully they will start staying on. They're the like spring clip hose clamps, the ones that everybody hates, but they're small and they're really easy to use, just regular pliers. They're not really a pain. It's only the big ones that are tucked up into hard to reach places that cause issues. My plan is to put it somewhere up here right above the FMU, that way it's close to the pressure regulator and the line for my boost gauge and all of that stuff. And I plan on using a port down there, probably the one I'm already using, to feed the vacuum port, or I may take this vacuum port for the brake booster, run it off of the vacuum block as well. I'm just going to be installing it with self-tappers. I've got a couple of them in the box. You can see one right there. Just going to put it up on the firewall with those. I want to go through and remove a lot of the self-tappers I've added and replace them with riv nuts fairly soon, but for the time being, self-tappers are really easy and I've got them just laying around, so I'm just going to go and use them. I can always drill the holes out again and put riv nuts in the future. First thing I'm going to do is just get this thing mounted up, and then I can start going through and figuring out what hoses I need to attach to it with, and then we'll just go from there. Do not want to strip that out because that would not be cool. So that's installed, and that actually was really easy. That's basically where it's gonna sit. I'll probably run a brake booster line to it. I have this hose which came from the booster, and I got these other two down here. I don't know if any of them are going to be able to reach all the way up to it, because one, it would be nice if I could just run one from this side over, but I can't because I got the PCV over here. But I will figure something out, get hoses ran. I may just have to go buy more hose, and then I'll start attaching all the little vacuum fittings. Made a little bit of progress. I have this all situated. I got rid of that double fitting, which is this one right here. This is the one line I was talking about. It's got this 90-degree thing, and then this T, another T, and there was another T off of it from there. So all of that is gone. And then, like I said, this is here, hose clamped and everything. I resituated some stuff that looks a lot better that way. And then I got the brake booster line. This is the original line, just redone basically. So I've got original hose clamp there, hose clamp there. Got two open ports, this one right here, which is the bigger one, and then there's that one little one down there, which that 90-degree came off of, needs to be plugged. And then this hose goes to my like fan control stuff, and then this one goes to the boost gauge, and it doesn't quite reach. Neither one of these quite reaches, so I'm going to see if I can pull a little bit of slack in on both of them and get them to reach. Otherwise I'll have to run new lines. I need to get, like I said, a plug for the one down there, so I'm going to have to go to the auto parts store and grab one of those. And then I need hose the same size as this. What I'm going to do, because this is there's two of these big ones, there's one on this side and one on the other side. I'm going to take fuel hose like this and wrap it all the way around to the PCV elbow like that, so it'll be aiming that way, and then it'll go over, and I'm going to use this barb fitting to feed the port. It's going to look a little bit funny, but it'll be a little bit easier than taking the hose from here and looping it and running it into that. It'll be a lot better just to have a smaller loop and then have this one wrap around, and then I won't have to have a T, I won't have to use a plug. All of the ports, at least all the big ports, will be used. And I got more of these blue ones. I'm going to put clamps on all the ones I plug off. I'm going to put a clamp on that red one down there. So I'm going to run to the parts store, I guess, go get some hose, get a assortment of vacuum plugs, and we'll come back and get this finished up. And then one more thing I forgot about that I'm going to do is I've got this hose right here. This is 5/8 inch Teflon hose. You can see the gray. If I hold it up towards the light, you can actually see through it. It's Teflon hose. I'm going to replace the heater hose I'm using for my oil drain with this. I've got everything installed. I got all these clamps on all of the barb fittings on either side. I've got, one here, and then there's just plugs on all of the small ones. I don't think you'll be able to see. Well, you can kind of see the ones down there, but there's clamps on all the ones on the intake manifold. I've got a clamp on that one as well. And then right here is the hose that it runs to my PCV now, so it runs into the barb fitting that was on this side of the manifold and then wraps over. Eventually I'm probably gonna maybe put some sort of catch can on it. I don't know if I can really put a catch can on it since it's going to be pulling vacuum through there, and I'll end up with a giant vacuum leak unless it's sealed really well, which I could get one to seal really well and then do it that way, and then it would make a little bit more sense to have just this hose running all over the place. But that's better than having things go backwards. So this is the hose right here, which runs up into the port, and then I've got this one running to FMU, this one fuel pressure regulator, this one runs to the cabin like fan control stuff and like the shutters and everything, and then this one is to the boost gauge, and then I got these two blocked off, which are these little Allen head things. I don't know if I showed you those. And then I've got another one of these laying around somewhere that goes with it, which I will insert and remove these from it when I put the Megasquirt on it or do anything that requires me to run vacuum to it. Since all the vacuum stuff is run, before I go ahead and try starting it, I'm going to install my new drain line, which is only going to take maybe 5 minutes as long as I can get to everything. I may have to jack the truck up to be able to reach the drain all the way down there at the pan. I'll put that on and then I'll start it, check for vacuum leaks, and then that'll be it. We'll have a vacuum port installed, my much better, much improved drain line installed, and we'll have just a couple little things knocked out in preparation for the Mega Squirt, so I don't have to worry about as much stuff when it comes time to do that. Alright, I've installed the new drain line, and there it is, braided line. I'm not completely happy with how it sits. I need to get a 45-degree fitting for this turbo really bad, and I need one that hangs down really low as well. But it's better than the heater hose. Put that back in there. I think we're good. No vacuum leaks, excuse me. It's idling good. I'll go hit the brakes and see how the brake pedal feels. Got plenty of power still. That still feels like it should, so there's plenty of vacuum getting to the brake booster. And yeah, that's it. That's the vacuum port installed right there, and then the new drain line as well. Cleaned up a few things. There's still a lot more cleaning up to be done and a lot more things that need to be dialed in, but I'm going to wait till the Mega Squirt's done. That way I've got things sort of sorted, and then there's a few things that will also be getting cleaned up after the 5-speed swap is done, because there's still, like, I've got kind of this and things are still kind of tossed around, but it's come along really well so far. That is a huge improvement over what I was running, and having clamps on everything is also a really big improvement. So that's it. That's going to be the end of the video. I want to thank you guys very much for watching, and sneak peek for the next video. I don't know if I'm going to do this today or tomorrow or what, but I'm going to install these pods. I think I mentioned these in the last video as well, but they're see if I can get one open and show you. Well, these little guys, they're actually they're 3x4s. There's a lot of LEDs in them. They're very bright. I'm going to replace those since they do not work, and run an independent switch, because obviously they're going to be too bright to have aiming at oncoming traffic. These were DOTs, so I could run them all the time. Those I can't, but they'll be great if I'm driving at night stuff, trying to see deer and whatnot. But that's the end of the video, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.